Do you have one, if you could give one piece of advice to parents, what would it be?
That's going to depend upon age. It's going to depend upon age. I have to do that by age.
Let's say a younger child.
For a younger child, the most important piece of advice is nothing, doing nothing is the worst thing you can do. Worst thing you could do with an autistic 3-year-old is just let them sit and rock and stim all day. They got to get a lot of hours every week, a one-to-one instruction with a great teacher.
And what would be the most important piece of advice maybe for parents who are helping their child transition into adulthood?
That's going to depend upon the level.
Okay.
I can't answer that otherwise.
Let's say someone maybe who's kind of in the middle of the spectrum.
Okay, for a person that's in kind of the middle of the spectrum, you need to make sure that they can do basic skills. You know, showering, shopping. I was taught shopping very young. You know, I have seen high-functioning autistic kids on the spectrum, 12 and 10-year-olds go in and really mess up a store at a gas station. No, that's not all right. I was taught at a much younger age that if you're not going to buy it, you don't touch it. And this is where my 50s upbringing helped me, some of that stuff. Another issue I want to talk about are the sensory issues. And the sensory issues are hugely variable. I had a lot of problems with sound sensitivity. Another child may have problems with touch sensitivity. Another child may not be able to tolerate fluorescent lights. It's very variable. And these sensory sensitivities can vary from nuisances to being completely debilitating, and they can make some normal environments intolerable. This is an area that definitely needs research.
What piece of advice would you give for parents who have someone who's high on the spectrum and does really well, but they're transitioning into adulthood?
Kids high on the spectrum transitioning into adulthood, hopefully when they're like 13 years old, they're learning job skills, career-relevant things. They need to be doing job-related things long before they graduate from high school. One of the secrets is a slow transition, one step of life into the next step of life. But we've got to teach job skills young, and we need to develop the area of strength into an area of job skills. Another thing is, I never got a single job through a regular interview. I got jobs by showing a portfolio of my work. I sold cattle design jobs by showing pictures and drawings. And I sold my work more than I sold myself.
What kinds of services do you think are really important to help children overcome barriers?
Well, real little kids, 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds, many hours of one-to-one instruction with a really good teacher. There's a lot of arguments over exactly what program you should use. Everybody agrees that little kids need many, many hours every week of good instruction from an excellent teacher.
Are there certain kinds of instruction that you think work better for small children?
The important thing is having an effective teacher. I've found that some teachers are effective and some are not, regardless of what kind of program they're in. But intensive one-to-ones, I got that. My mother hired a nanny when I was 3 years old. We did lots of turn-taking games. We've got to teach these kids how to take turns. They don't know how to take turns. That has to be taught.
Are there any other things besides taking turns, or any good stories you have about other techniques that were really useful to you?
Well, my speech teacher would enunciate the hard consonant sounds, because when grown-ups talk really fast, I thought grown-ups actually had a grown-up language. It was like, people spoke right to me. I understood them. So she'd hold up a cup and she'd say, cup, and she'd enunciate those hard consonant sounds and speak slowly. And then when I got into high school, and it shows in the movie, Dr. Carlock, he got his honorary doctorate for the movie. He deserves it, too. I can't even think about that without getting kind of upset about it. You take on the high end of the spectrum, the kind of quirky, geeky kind of kids. This is where a great teacher can get a kid motivated. I was goofing around in school and not studying, and Dr. Carlock got me interested in science. I'm really concerned today about the shortage of science teachers.
What kind of goofing around were you doing in high school?
Well, I just wasn't studying. But you know what? I wasn't totally goofing around. I was learning a lot of job skills. When I was in high school, I was taking care of the horse barn, did a lot of carpentry work, was doing all kinds of things that were good job skills. I was also doing tasks that other people want and appreciate. When I was younger, my mother always encouraged my drawing ability. But she encouraged me to draw pictures of lots of different things. Lots of times all the kid on the spectrum wants to do is just do the same thing all the time. Maybe all he wants to do is some cartoon character all the time. Well, you could broaden that out and say, why don't you do a picture of his house or a picture of his car? Broaden it out.
What were some of the favorite things that you drew then when you were...
Oh, horses. But I was encouraged to draw a lot of other things beside horses.
When you were learning job skills, what were some of the first skills that you learned that you felt were really useful or that made you feel like work was really meaningful?
Well, the first thing I was taught was being on time, and that was taught at a much younger age. I had an alarm clock ever since first grade, and I had to learn how to set it, and I had to learn how to get up in the morning. When I was 13 years old, my mother got me a little job with a dressmaker, hand sewing dresses. I'm seeing kids right now getting out of college, and they haven't had any jobs. They haven't delivered a paper, they haven't walked a dog, they haven't mowed a lawn, they haven't done any job thing for somebody else. And I think we've got to be working on teaching job skills.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay,
We're
you're very
excited for the
welcome. Okay.
movie, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
We're happy to have you in Chicago.
Okay, great.
Too.
Thank you.
You did great.